You know that feeling when you think you're the smartest person in the room, the king of opinions, the expert on life, and then someone politely tells you that you're completely wrong? Welcome to Australia. For Americans visiting this sunburnt land, the shock is immediate, brutal, and sometimes hilarious. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. It starts innocently. An American tourist wanders into a cafe, ready to lecture the barista on the proper way to make a latte. Maybe they've even watched a YouTube tutorial on how Australians drink coffee and are confident their expertise is unmatched. But the barista, with calm eyes and a deadpan smile, hands them a perfectly made flat white and says, "Enjoy it, mate." No argument, no applause. And suddenly the American realizes maybe their opinion doesn't matter. And that's just the beginning. Next comes the tipping debacle. Americans are used to tipping like it's a national sport, believing that generosity is measured in percentages. They glance at the check, calculating the appropriate tip, only to be told by a waiter, "Mate, it's fine, you don't need to tip." Cue the meltdown, faces flush, hands wave, they insist, argue, even try to explain why tipping is mandatory. Australians, of course, remain calm. The American is learning an inconvenient truth. Here, the rules are different, and no one is going to bend to accommodate your cultural expectations. The chaos escalates when driving comes into play. An American behind the wheel in Sydney or Melbourne is suddenly confronted with roundabouts, a lack of aggressive honking, and a complete disregard for American-style road dominance. They try to assert control, expecting locals to yield, but Australians don't flinch. No worries, they say, merging smoothly, signaling politely, and leaving the American driver fuming. The truth hits. The world does not revolve around you, your schedule, or your need to assert dominance on the road. And yes, that truth is undesirable. Then there's wildlife. Americans approach it with curiosity, bravado, maybe even a sense of superiority. Oh, it's just a spider, how bad could it be? Australians calmly inform them that the spider is one of the deadliest in the world. The American gasps, backs away, and starts waving hands frantically. "It's just a spider," they insist. Australians smile, sip their flat whites, and respond with blunt honesty, "Mate, not really." The truth is inconvenient. The reaction is immediate chaos, and everyone watching knows it's comedy gold. Public behavior and blunt honesty are another arena where Americans hit a wall. They might ask for directions, expecting enthusiasm, admiration, or detailed explanations. Australians, masters of economy with words, give short, honest answers. "Go that way, mate. Left at the next roundabout." The American is flabbergasted. But what about landmarks? The best way? The shortcuts? Australians shrug. The truth? Keep it simple. Americans are learning, slowly, that overthinking, over-explaining, and overreacting does not work here. Even in simple tourist scenarios, the pattern continues. Americans try to comment on local cuisine, customs, or prices, and are met with polite indifference or blunt feedback. "You're wrong," someone might say casually, about the correct way to eat a meat pie. Or, "That's not how we do it," regarding kangaroo facts. The Americans explode, gesturing wildly, insisting that their way is better. Australians calmly sip beer and nod. The truth is undeniable. Your opinion, no matter how loud, is just that, your opinion. And it doesn't carry extra weight. By the midpoint of their trip, the meltdown escalates in predictable yet hilarious ways. Minor inconveniences, a delayed tram, a wrong menu item, or a casual "no worries" when they expected sympathy, are met with disproportionate outrage. Shouting ensues. Phones are waved, faces turn red. But Australians are masters of calm. They rarely argue, they rarely judge, and they almost never escalate. Americans, on the other hand, are discovering the reality that nobody cares about their outrage, and that truth? Undesirable. Shopping experiences are another minefield. Americans complain about prices, policies, or customer service, assuming someone will sympathize. Australians respond with blunt, practical truths. "It's the price. That's how it is." The meltdown intensifies. The realization that complaining does nothing here is crushing. Australians have a cultural immunity to dramatics, and watching Americans go ballistic over normal policies is like observing a live comedy sketch. Even in social settings, the reactions are Americans insist on telling everyone their opinions on politics, sports, or the best way to live life. Australians politely listen, nod once, and move on to other conversations. The American is left hanging, sputtering indignantly, realizing the harsh truth: people do not need to validate your worldview. And for someone raised in a culture that prizes being loud and right, that truth is almost too much to handle. By the climax of the trip, Americans have exploded over parking tickets, wildlife encounters, blunt truths about coffee, tipping, road rules, and even casual conversation. Every scenario reinforces the same inconvenient lesson: the world does not revolve around your opinion, your expectations, or your sense of authority. Australians have been living this way all along: calm, practical, observant, and unapologetically indifferent to outrage. The resolution? Many Americans finally pause, laugh nervously, and start adapting. They observe more, speak less, and maybe, just maybe, start to appreciate the freedom of not needing to be validated constantly. Australians, meanwhile, continue sipping coffee, merging in traffic, and letting the chaos unfold. The lesson is clear: blunt truths are part of life in Australia, and losing your cool doesn't make you right, it just makes you memorable. And for those who can't get enough, the next part dives into the most outrageous, over-the-top American meltdowns across Australia, from supermarkets to beaches, pubs to wildlife encounters, revealing just how badly they handle inconvenient truths. Stay tuned, because the chaos is far from over, and the reactions are even better the second time around. Just when our Americans think they've adjusted, reality hits again, this time with full force. At a local supermarket, one tries to argue about the price of Vegemite, insisting it should cost the same as back home. The cashier, completely unfazed, gives a polite, "Mate, that's how it is." The American throws up their hands, muttering about inflation and unfair pricing, while Australians behind them quietly nod, grab their groceries, and walk away. The meltdown is immediate and spectacular. Next, they visit a beach and try to enforce their own rules about sun safety, arguing that everyone should wear SPF 50 and follow strict shade schedules. A group of Aussie teens laugh, shrug, and continue playing volleyball. One teen casually says, "Do what you like, mate," and walks off. The Americans panic, scanning the sand like it's a crime scene, flipping umbrellas, and lecturing strangers about sunburn. The reality sinks in: Australians don't need your guidance, and telling them what to do only creates chaos for you. Then comes the pub scenario. Americans try to explain why their favorite sports team is obviously superior, expecting cheers and agreement. Instead, the bartender gives a dry smile and mutters, "Fair enough, mate," while serving drinks. The Americans escalate, waving arms, raising voices, and pointing out stats, unaware that Australians care far more about enjoying the moment than debating American football logic. They're reminded once again that their opinion holds no weight here. Even small things become triggers. An American complains about traffic fines, expecting sympathy. Australians respond with blunt honesty: "You were speeding, mate, that's the rule." The American gasps, gestures wildly, and starts comparing it to back home, citing exceptions, loopholes, and legal technicalities. Australians just shake their heads and sip their coffee. The lesson? Rules are rules, and whining doesn't change reality. And the wildlife encounters escalate the chaos further. One American spots a harmless but venomous snake near a hiking trail and immediately screams for help. Australians calmly say, "Yeah, it's fine. Keep walking." Panic ensues, with phones out, videos taken, and frantic calls to friends. The snake doesn't move. The Americans are red-faced, exhausted, and embarrassed, while Australians laughed quietly at the spectacle. This is the pinnacle of inconvenient truth. Nature doesn't negotiate, and neither does Australia. By the end of these encounters, Americans are emotionally exhausted. Their meltdowns over supermarket prices, sports debates, traffic rules, wildlife, and cultural differences have reached epic proportions. Australians, on the other hand, remain calm, observing the chaos with subtle humor and quiet amusement. The truth is clear: the world does not bend to your opinions, expectations, or outrage, and learning to accept that is both shocking and liberating. For viewers, the takeaway is obvious. America's loud, opinion-driven culture meets Australia's calm, indifferent, and blunt society, and the results are hilarious, chaotic, and unforgettable. And the next part? Who knows what rules, wildlife, or blunt truths will push Americans over the edge next, but one thing's for sure: it.